We've got some breaking news for the Detroit Lions, and unfortunately, it's some sad news, but we're here, and that is that center Frank Ragnow will be retiring. So let's get right into it. So today, it broke that Lions center Frank Ragnow is officially set to retire right now, and he actually posted this himself on Instagram. So I'll read this immediately here, and this is what he said. I got this from Adam Schefter. Shout out to my man Chef over there on X. He actually sent this to me. That's how I got the update. But this is what Frank Ragnow posted. These past couple of months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I have given this team everything I have, and I thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't. I have to listen to my body, and this has been one of the hardest decisions of my life. The Lions organization has been absolutely incredible throughout this process, and I can't emphasize this enough how grateful I am for this team and all of the fans. It was an absolute honor going to battle for you all. That is what Frank Ragnow posted. Now, that makes me sad, man, because immediately as soon as I see that, I'm just upset that over the last 2 seasons, we had a legit shot to make it happen, and it stinks that for a guy like that, you think about the Frank Ragnows, the Taylor Deckers, the dudes that have been here through just a disaster, wanting to win for those guys. And that's immediately what I think of Frank Ragnow. I mean, he's the only dude that I've seen consistently listed with 3 injuries that still plays that week, doesn't practice, and then he'll play that week. I don't know how he's out there, but he's out there. I mean, this guy couldn't talk, and he's playing football games. This dude's just going through it, finding a way to get in the field. He's the definition of just playing through whatever the heck he has to deal with to get on the field, and that's who Frank Ragnow was for the Lions. And it's unfortunate that we weren't able to get this guy a ring. But now on top of that, of course, this is even bigger because the Lions have to replace Frank Ragnow right now. But we'll talk about that here in a second because I think they've kind of started to get ready with that plan. But we know that he wasn't there at voluntary OTAs. Neither was Alex Anzalone. Of course, there's contract talks going on there. And for Frank Ragnow, who had really no more guarantees left on his deal in a sense of guaranteed salary, it was up heading into the season with 2 years left on his contract. Now, he was set to make some pretty good money these upcoming seasons, but there was no guaranteed salary left. So some thought that maybe he was looking for more guaranteed salary because of the injuries that he's dealing with, because he constantly has a toe injury. That's like, hey, give me some guarantees, man, because I don't want to get hurt and then just, not make this money essentially if something significant happens here. But he ultimately decides to retire, and he said nothing about that in his post. In terms of him and Alex not being there, the thing that Dan Campbell did tell us is, he was going to tell those conversations, but that they have those conversations with those players. He's just not going to give to the media, as he pointed out. I think what's great is that any player that I talk to, I have a relationship with, and there is an open line of communication. Whatever I say to those players, I'm not going to say to you guys. I never will. There's communication that has been great. So I'm not worried about anything. I know this. We are in late May. Is it even June yet? We're not even in June, so life's good. We're going to be just fine. And that's what he stated about the guys that aren't essentially there and some of the concerns about if there could be concerns about some of these contracts and how that could affect potentially training camp. And he also stated that we only have 2 guys that aren't here right now. I know who they are. I know where they're at. I've talked to them. We're all good. So clearly there was conversations beforehand. I don't know that there was actually anything of like, hey, man, they won't give me guarantees, so I'm just going to sit back and retire, as much as well as this guy is just, he's going through it and he's trying to make it make sense. And he maybe some of it is like, if I get some more guaranteed money here, then we can make this make sense. And I don't know the Lions weren't willing to do that for him. I actually would believe that they would be willing to do that for him based on how important he is for this team. He's not healthy, right? And he's going through this and he's playing through these injuries, and he has all these injuries that he's constantly dealing with, and he still puts himself out there on the field. And look, I thought last season was incredible from Frank. I think last season was an emergence of like, oh, Frank Ragnow's elite. like he had already shown that he was that, but I thought last season he took off again, and it was like his run blocking was so dominant to a point where you felt the impact like crazy. From a center position, you felt like crazy. He was always doing the dirty work, but man, you felt it as a run blocker. He was outstanding this past season. For example, one guy that always gives us problems is Harrison Phillips, and I thought that he played outstanding against Harrison Phillips this year. And I'll never forget the plays where we like play action and he flips himself around when he has no one head up on him. He flips himself around and goes and protects Goff's blind spot. Like, doing the things like that were just incredible. You're like, how's he doing? And he would do that so many times. Those players were always overlooked because you just never see it on the broadcast, but they were so incredible. Officially official. We were all kind of waiting for this to happen. We didn't know when, and it kind of was quiet. So outside of him holding out, I guess. I mean, maybe that even brought some belief that was like, oh, okay, he does want to play. He just wants some guaranteed money. I mean, based on Frank's post, my thought is that he may have been looking at it like, man, if I can get some more protection within this contract, maybe I can make it make sense because I know that I'm dealing with all of these different injury issues. But ultimately, he seemingly just sat back and said, it doesn't really make sense for me. I have to take care of myself, as he said in the post. I have to protect myself, and ultimately just going after some guaranteed money because I know that I'm going through all these issues. It's probably not the smartest thing. Say I am happy for Frank Ragnow in the sense that Frank's like the kind of guy that you have to like pry off the field. The type of dude who's like, okay, hey, I don't know if you should be playing. I'm playing anyway. It's like, all right, Frank, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And I'm happy for him that, he was comfortable enough to say, okay, I got to take care of myself. I got to take care of my health here. It doesn't make sense to continue to risk the longevity of all of this after football stuff, all of my after football life to continue to push it forward just because I get some guarantees maybe thrown on my contract. Like, again, I think the Lions have been willing to do that, but regardless if that happens or not, I'm happy for him that he was able to, come to the point where it's like, let me take care of myself here, right? Let me make this decision for me. And he's absolutely earned that, right? So Frank Ragnow, again, I'm happy for him, man. I hate it, but I'm happy for him. As a Lions fan, I'm sad, but I'm glad that he's taking care of himself here. And again, I'm wishing him the best going forward. And I do think the Lions are going to be fine. Like, I actually really like these young guys that we got as well. I think Miles Frazier is a day one starter. I thought he was like Kevin Zettler coming out. I had him as a top 10 guard. And obviously the whole Tate Ratledge thing. All knew that it was going to happen at some point. We just didn't know when. And it stinks because we haven't been able to kind of like soak in it and like expected that. Like, you expected it to happen, and then the offseason moves happen, then you feel a little bit easier about it. But I also get the sense the Lions, as they should have, regardless of this happening or not, or if they talked to him and he was like, I'm really thinking about retiring or not, I think that they probably expected this was going to happen relatively soon and that this was on the table and that they were going to get prepared for that. And I think that's clearly what they did in this year's draft. I continue to emphasize that I thought Tate Ratledge was going to be the future center for the Lions. Well, I said in 2-3 years, it doesn't have to be year one, but that was with the expectation that Frank Ragnow was here, and now he's not here. And Frank having the 2 years left on his deal. So now that as of now, him retiring for the Lions, that process may speed up really quickly, and that may be year one. I don't know for sure, but it may be. And we heard at OTAs that Tate was taking a majority of the snaps at center and that Graham Glasgow was rotating. The Lions also went back, grabbed Miles Frazier, so it gives them some guard depth so that they have that flexibility, whether they want to start Graham or Tate there year one or this season. They can do either of those things. Graham Glasgow now becomes incredibly valuable for the Lions because they already don't have great center depth. Michael Neese, Kingsley Egukan, Colby Sorsel trying it out a little bit. Like, that was what made the team last year was Michael Neese. That was already on the lighter side. So this year adding Tate, I thought added to that. Like, okay, we got some real depth, and you had guard depth. Now Graham's flexibility comes back into play. Well, now without Frank, now Graham's flexibility is absolutely key, and he may be better at center for the Lions, but him being able to do that now becomes incredibly crucial. And now having him for multiple years left means that he actually may stick around for these next couple seasons. But they're going to need Tate Ratledge, and Tate Ratledge, whether it's at guard or center, I think it's very clear that the idea of why they drafted him was truly for that versatility. Maybe not to say he has to be one of these two spots, but that they know that they can go to either direction here and that they believe they can go either direction here. And I think the thought process that I had of like, oh, this is going to be the Lions' future center, I'm going to bank on the fact that I believe he's going to be the future center, and we may see it as soon as right now. We may see it right now because if the Lions' best five includes Tate Ratledge on the field, then at that point, if that's at center and that's better than Graham Glasgow, now Graham's competing with Christian Mahogany, and it's Graham Glasgow at the guard spot, Miles Frazier now in competition, and then, of course, you have your Nitain Mutais, Coyotes. But my guess is right now that it would look like Tate Ratledge at center next to Christian Mahogany and then Miles Frazier and Graham Glasgow battling out at guard. But if it's better to have Graham at center, having Graham at guard, or Miles Frazier, then you go that direction. You just get your best five on the field. And I think the Lions are in a position where they're capable of doing that. But this is definitely a tough blow just because of what he added to this team. Like, he was definition of grit, so he was perfect for us. Not only was he a dominant run blocker, he's a very good pass protector too. He's a very good pass protector. He's just a very good player in general. He's only 29 years old, and you hate it for him, but you absolutely understand it from the outside looking in. So thank you, Frank Ragnow, for everything. Seriously, this guy was incredible. And last year, I thought he just put on a clinic, man. He put on a show last year. So it was a tremendous way to go out for him personally. It just stinks that we weren't able to do it as a team with a guy like that as part of this mix. So this is it starts now. I guess it starts now. The process got sped up, and I look forward to Tate Ratledge. I guess this is a good time to plug my Tate Ratledge video if you haven't seen it. Watch every snap of Tate Ratledge, and I feel like he's going to be a center at the next level. So we'll ultimately see what happens, but Frank Ragnow, thanks for everything. and wishing him the best of luck in the future. If anything changes, we'll of course be on it. But I think right now, Frank Ragnow it's the end of Frank Ragnow as a Lion, and it stinks. It's sad. I'm gonna leave it here just to make sure I get the news out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Frank Ragnow, and I'm out.